In Afghanistan, patriarchal traditions, poverty and lack of education have stifled women's rights for decades. Now, here's a heart-wrenching ordeal of a 22-year-old woman married off as a mere child. She is now living in one of the few shelters for battered women that still exist in Afghanistan under the Taliban rule. This is her story of abuse, torture, and sorrow. Take a look.
At 7 years old, Fatima was married to a man old enough to be her grandfather. In the years to come, she endured rape, beatings, and starvation. 15 years later, Fatima lives in one of the few shelters for battered women that is still open in Afghanistan, since the Taliban's return to power in August last year. But Fatima is now worried and fearful that under the Taliban rule she could lose her shelter home anytime. With her own family disowning her and her in-laws vowing to kill her for dishonoring their name, Fatima will have nowhere to go and will be left abandoned on the streets of Kabul.
باز پدر میگه با ما چی بیاین ببرینش دیگه او میگه فضلان خود خط بده مثل یک مال وارد مر انسان فکر نمیکردن مثل یک چیزی که سودا کنی ضمانت بگیری قسم میگه ما ضمانت بده از دانت که دختر ما میبردیم پدرش چی نداره وقتی که دولت آمد ما بگیم دختر بردن او را میگه خط بده از دانت به ما او را بسیار به ما دردآور بود میگفتم ای جان ما برازی ارزش نداره کل گپ از خاطر دولت یا میترسم.
Fatima's plight is shared by millions of Afghan women who endure domestic violence on a daily basis. According to United Nations, 87% of Afghan women have experienced some form of physical, sexual or psychological violence.
And the gender violence is still going on in the houses, in the families, in the villages. But the only thing that has changed from then is that those women, they know that the second they leave their houses, if they do, they are going to be taken, and sent in prison, and that will be the end of it, because nobody is going to look after their cases, nobody is going to look after them, nor protect them like the way the shelters were doing it. So no woman wants to go through that.
But despite these glaring numbers, the country of 38 million has only 24 shelter homes dedicated to the care of women who are abandoned by their families. And to add to their miseries, Taliban's return has put a huge question mark on the fate of women like Fatima, who face gender violence in the confines of their homes and are left to fend for themselves in a country that is drastically clamping down on women's rights. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
WION, now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.